Hi, I am Andi the Knittress, and this is my channel on YouTube where I like to talk about yarn. You can find me on the internet on Instagram and Ravelry as Andi the Knittress, as well as the Knotty Knittress on Instagram, Ravelry, and Facebook, and my website, theknottyknitress.com. Welcome to Just Add Color. This is a series that I've put together because I am a true believer that every skein of yarn is a piece of art. So I wanted to reach out to some dyers and amateur dyers and anybody who was thinking about adding color to yarn and put together a little experiment. I got everybody together and I said, okay, we're going to dye one skein of yarn with the same three colors. Nobody gets to see what anybody else is doing. We're just all using the same three colors. It could be any depth of shade. It could be using negative space on the yarn. You could do anything that your heart desired on that skein of yarn with those three colors. You could mix the colors together to create a different color. Those three colors are lilac, Kelly green, and silver gray. They didn't have to use exactly those colors if they wanted, as long as they just used a purple, a green, and a gray. Because I wasn't expecting everybody to go out and purchase specific dye shades if they didn't want to. But those were the three colors that I used, as well as my husband. And we didn't peek at each other's either. But I reached out, I put a message out for anybody interested to get a hold of me, and I put together a little group of people. I want to say it's almost 20, I think maybe 18 or 19 skeins of yarn that I have here. So I'm really excited to share this with you all. I have a list of everyone, and I'm going to go through and I will show you everyone's skein, give you their information. I don't know if all of these people will be sharing or selling their skeins, but feel free to reach out to them and feel free to follow some of these other makers if you don't. Um, I'm just really excited to share this with you. When I am finished showcasing all of these beautiful skeins of yarn, and I will have lots of pictures that I will take throughout to maybe show you the true color of the skein, because the lighting here in my dining room is probably not going to show true to color for some of these shades. So I'll have pictures throughout, and when I am done, I am going to crank each skein into a sock tube as well as a hat so that you can see how those skeins will look when they're worked up. So sometimes when you're shopping, as a yarn customer, you may not know what a skein is going to look like if you work it up. If it's half and half, if like half the skein is one color and half the skein is another color, if it's variegated, is it speckled all over? Do you see lots of different stripes of color throughout that skein? This will give you an idea as to how that may work up in a hat or in a sock. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I've been really excited to share this with you, and it's been so wonderful to get all of these skeins of yarn in. So I hope you guys like what you see. All right, so we'll start off with my skein of yarn. Now, I am not a dyer by any means. I do get inspired by colors, and I would love to be able to put what's in my head onto a skein of yarn, but I think I'm a little heavy-handed when it comes to the pouring or the mixing, because what I had in my head was definitely not what turned out on my skein. So it got me a little frustrated when I poured the dye on there, and it wasn't what I wanted it to be. But instead of letting that stall me, I kind of just shifted gears and changed what I was doing. So let me tell you what I had in my head, because when I thought of lilac and Kelly green and silver gray, in my head it was just like a soft field of flowers. So light colors, and just an overall softer floral feel. That's what was in my head. But when I mixed the dye, because I know nothing about mixing colors and depth of shade and etc. And I also did no research because that's not how I roll. I kind of, if you've been around for a while, you know, I kind of just jump in head first and figure it out as I go. So what I did turned out nothing like like I thought it would. But and maybe I think I still have a few clips of video um, that I will pop in here to kind of show you what I did. And when I poured the green on this skein, it was way more green than I thought. Now, you guys know that I love my greens and purples and such together, but it wasn't the vibe that I was trying to go for. But like I said, I shifted gears and I went ahead and mixed some of the purple with the silver gray and did an over pour on this skein, and I really like it. So I am calling this the Wicked Witch of the Pacific Northwest. This is not something that I can repeat for sure. Let's see if we can get this to focus. There we go. So yeah, I actually really love it now. We've got the green is not so in your face, and it's got some of that tonal gray purple over it. The purple is just a very luscious purple, and you've got some of the gray bits down here. And I will show you kind of what this skein looks like opened up, where we've got the green more heavily on one end, and then the purple and into the gray on the other end. Now, this is definitely not what I had envisioned, but I still love it nonetheless. You just shifted gears. You've gotta let go sometimes when you're creating art and just see where it's gonna take you. You could also do a little bit of research ahead of time and kind of get an idea of what you want to do, but that's just not my style. So yeah, this is what it turned out to be, and I really do love it. So that is my skein, and I just love it. So next up we have my friend Hailey from Binky Bean. She has her own podcast. You can also find her on Instagram and Ravelry. I will have her information popped in here. She is a actual personal friend of mine, so she is here in Oregon as well. And she originally, her and I were chatting after I had already reached out to people about this, and she said that she was actually thinking about getting into dyeing yarn, and I made her join this this little experiment. I think she wanted to as well. So this is her skein here, and I love her overall green with the purple and the gray speckles. Take a peek at it as a whole skein. So that's just going to be a lovely overall green with a touch of speckle. That's going to work up wonderfully. So I will have pictures popped in here of a more accurate color representation. And that is my friend Hailey, and she is Binky Bean. You should check out her YouTube channel. She's newer to podcasting, and I just thoroughly enjoy watching her when I don't get to hang out with her. I just have little tags on all of these. I'm just trying to keep everybody separate so that nothing gets confused when I start caking them up. All right, next up we have another Oregon dyer, and her name is Elora, and she is from Always Be Kind Yarn. And she has some lovely colorways on her website, and you should go check that out. She does lots of rainbows and Jack and Sally. She did a pair of socks. I did a pair of socks out of her yarn that was Jack and Sally themed socks. So this is her skein. And she has called hers Hulk. And this is the purple, green, gray. And this should do a micro stripe, she says, on the little note that she gave me, as well as the label says it should do a micro stripe. So if we take a peek at this and we unravel this and we look at how this skein is laid out, I do believe, I do know that that's accurate. So we see how we have these long sections of color, and then it goes into another long section of color, and then another section of color there and there. When you take that and you break it down into a sock, it should do a micro stripe that will kind of spiral around, depending on your gauge, of course. But that is gorgeous, and I just love these little sections with the speckles on there, and I just love the shade of purple that she achieved, and this green. I'm in love with all of these skeins. They all have a different story to tell, and I just can't wait for you guys to see them all. So again, that is Laura from Always Be Kind Yarn. Check her out. Go have a peek at her Instagram. Visit her shop. I think that she's also on Facebook and Pinterest. So yeah. All right. Next up, we have. It looks like we have all the Oregon dyers on the first page almost. So next up, we have my friend Amber from Waning Gibbous Creations. She is on Instagram, and I know that she does some commission crochet. So yeah, and she has called her skein. Now, not everybody named their skeins, but I will just tell you those who did. She's called hers You Ain't Got No Alibi. So this is Amber's gorgeous skein. It's so very moody. It looks like a blend of all of the colors. You've got this lovely shade of green and some dark purple up in here. Maybe that's the gray. I think it's gray and purple. So yeah, this is her gorgeous skein. Now I know that Amber is, she is an amateur dyer like myself, and I know that she was not happy with her skein. But like I say, just because you're not in love with it does not mean somebody else couldn't be, because this is just a gorgeous color. It's so rich, such a rich color. That is, let's see. So it looks to be an overall mostly green with a pop of darker color on one side and some speckles throughout. And again, there will be pictures. So that is my friend Amber of Waning Gibbous Creations on Instagram. So go check out her feed and give her a follow. And Amber's husband is the next one. So also a local Oregon yarn. He's a jack of all trades. He can sew, he can do smithing, like blacksmithing. Apparently, he can dye yarn as well. Just an all around cool friend to have. Amber and Thomas come hang out, and the kids will play, and we'll kind of just play games or whatever. It's really awesome to have friends who are interested in same things that you are. So this is his skein, and he has called it Shadow Moon Valley. And I just love this is mostly an overall purple with some little specks of green in there. I just like how they kind of peek out. And then there's little bits of the gray in there. We'll show you this overall, the overall look of this skein. So it looks like we have a center section here where we've got the green, and it looks like maybe there was some resist done there. And then we've got the purple on the ends. So this will do some really interesting things once it's cranked up. That is my friend Thomas. I just love the little pops of green right there. That's just, oops, that just makes me smile. Like, I love it. Okay, so then next up we have Andrea from the Cat Lady podcast. And thecatlady.com. I love to watch Andrea's vlog style podcasts. You can find her on Instagram and YouTube. I think she has some patterns on Ravelry, and she has her own server on Discord. So this is her card here, and that is the Cat Lady, the CATT. It stands for Craft All the Things, and she is definitely a crafty lady. She's always working on something. So she is calling this colorway a Lilac in the Storm. I love the overall gray feel of this with specks of green and purple, and then a spot where the green and purple get to shine on their own. This is so beautiful. Let's take a peek at it. Opened up. So yeah, we've got a big long section of this gray. That's gonna be the main one we're gonna see, and then we'll have little flashes of the green and the purple when that is cranked in the sock tube. It's just beautiful. So again, there'll be some pictures that I will pop in, and I'm mainly going to keep saying that to remind myself as I'm editing to pop the pictures in here of each skein. And again, this is Andrea from thecatlady.com, and you should check her out and give her a like and a follow if you're not already. She's got some gorgeous colors. I have a few skeins of hers in my stash. Oh, and Andrea is from Michigan. I was trying to say where everybody was from. Andrea is from Michigan. That's MI. I'm pretty sure MI is Michigan. Yes. Yes. And the next up we have Aquilla from Maryland, and her husband and her have a company called Knitty Bow Fiber Co. And Aquilla is also known as a Lefty Knitter on YouTube. And she's on Etsy and Ravelry. She's got a few patterns, I think one or two or maybe more. I have to go take a peek. But her podcast, I watch her podcast weekly. It's like a vlog style podcast, and she does wonderful. And she has recently delved into a little bit of dyeing herself. So this is her gorgeous skein. Lots of green. Goes into some bear yarn with just a kiss of speckle down here. And it's so beautiful. You see, we've used purple and gray and green, and yet you see a little bit of blue in there because sometimes when you speckle with the yarns, they break into other colors that they are made of. But I just love this soft green that she achieved here, and I do believe she did like a slower dip dye for the center of this, and I have seen the way that one of these skeins knits up because she did that over on her channel, and you can see how it's a little darker, more saturated green on the bottom, and then it fades into a softer going into the bear with just a kiss of speckle. You know, I am a heavy-handed speckler the few times I've tried. I don't know that I've ever been able to speckle this lightly. That's just, it's just beautiful. And there, her Etsy is Knitty Bow Fiber Co. At Etsy, and she's just called this one Just Add Color. It's such a beautiful, beautiful skein. So thank you, Aquilla, for joining in, and Andrea and Laura and Thomas and Amber and Hailey so far. I just thank you all so much. I still have several more to go, so I don't know why I'm doing the thank yous already. Just thankful for everyone. I didn't think anybody was going to join in on this crazy little experiment of mine, but I am so happy that they did. Alrighty, so I've got about 3 pages of people to go through, so let's see. Next up, we have Jennifer from Barley Hops and Yarn, and she is a new dyer. And she is also from Maryland, and she has a podcast on YouTube here. And she also has given us a coupon code for her shop that is good through the end of the year. And that is code ATK10. It stands for Andi the Knittress 10. And that will get you 10% off through the end of 2022. So this is her card here, Barley, Hops, and Yarn. And the barley and the hops comes from the beers. She goes to lots of breweries, and she always has a fun new ale or sour or something that she's trying on her podcast, and she just has really good descriptions of them. And then she lets you know, because that's what her interest is breweries and yarn. And how cool is that? She would be super good friends with my husband. Plus, they both like the same football team. So she is calling this colorway Andi Says. And she's gone with an overall green. And there's a touch of grays and purples in there. And that is just beautiful. Let's open this up and take a peek at it. So we have just an overall lovely, almost tonal yarn. Tonal would mean that it was all one color, but we do have the kisses of gray, so that's going to make it variegated. But there's lots of lovely different shades of green that have popped through in here. So that's what gives me a tonal vibe about it, even though it is technically a variegated yarn. So beautiful. Gonna be fun to watch this work up. I think we're gonna get little flashes of the gray and purple sections in there. Jennifer from Barley, Hops, and Yarn. All right, so next up we have Bobby from Hearing Colors Dyeworks. He is an Oregon local. He is a This House local. He is my husband. He is the dyer behind Hearing Colors Dyeworks, which is a majority of the yarn that takes up my website, theknottyKnittress.com. And I do know that there will be a few of these skeins on a couple of different bases available in our shop after this airs. And so he has called this color, here is his logo, Hearing Colors Dyeworks. And he has called this color, It's Showtime. And I love it. He's used a lot of negative space in here. He's got the green speckles and the gray speckles on one end and the purple stripes on the other. So if we take a peek at this skein, it's like a half and half. So half of this skein has the speckles on it, and then the other half of this skein has some striped sections of purple. So that's going to make an overall beautiful look. I have already cranked it out, so I know what it looks like because I had an extra skein. But I have a couple more pictures in there. Again, that is Bobby from Hearing Colors Dyeworks. You can find him on Instagram. So, next up, we have McKaylee from Breaking Yarn, and she is out of New Mexico, Albuquerque to be specific, and this is her label here. And she, hers is a lot of her colorways are after characters and scenes from Breaking Bad, because that was filmed or based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. So here is her lovely skein. Got that beautiful green with specks of the gray, and then this gray section with specks of the purple. And this one is just called Just Add Color Experiment. And she has patterns as well as yarn on her website. And she also has a podcast on YouTube. So check her out. Let's take a peek at this skein as a whole. So we've got a half and half here. That's going to do some lovely things in a sock or a hat. It's going to probably do like a spiral stripe. Just pretty. Lovely, lovely gray, purple speckles. Thank you so much, McKaylee, for joining in on my fun little experiment here. It's also fun when you wind up, so this is a half and half skein, and I have wound it up where I have both of the halves together. So you see it creates that beautiful stripe of color where they meet, and it looks like the green stripe on the outside. But then if I were to take it and go this way, it's going to be going to look a little different. See, it looks like one half of the skein is green and the other half is silver. So sometimes if you come across a skein of yarn and you're not quite sure, you know, what's going on there, unravel it, take a peek at it. I have found that sometimes if you wind a skein, if you twist a skein one way, it looks better than if you twist it another way. Yeah, play around with that, unravel some skeins and see if, you know, they jog different feelings for you. Again, that is McKaylee from Breaking Yarn. And she is on Instagram, Facebook, Ravelry, and YouTube. All right. So next up we have Tammy from Cinematic Skeins. And Tammy is out of Texas, and she has a YouTube channel, podcast, and recently I've been watching all of her little, she's been unboxing her October Advents, and here is her skein. You can find her on Instagram as well. And I just love the mood in this skein. It's got lots of the gray, and the gray did some darker things. And I know that there's some purple in there with that. And I just love Tammy's take on yarn. Her whole channel it's Cinematic Skeins, so all of her skeins are named after movies and movie quotes, and it's just really awesome how she can take a movie quote and dye a skein of yarn, and you really get the vibe that she was going for. So let's take a peek at this one as a whole. This is going to be so fun to see it worked up. Again, that is Tammy from Cinematic Skeins. Thank you so much for joining in on my little experiment. I just thank you guys all. Like, I'm so excited to share everyone's art with anyone who might not know who they are. So go give Tammy a follow on YouTube and check out her shop. She just has some gorgeous, gorgeous yarns. And you know, we all like our movies, and when sometimes it's the name that does it for me. You know, if somebody names something after one of my favorite movies, I'm like, okay, well, I have to have that now. That's just me. All right, next up we have a dyer from Rhode Island. Her name is Coral, and I'm trying to find her little card because she sent me a cute little card that explains a few things about her shop, and I like it. So let me show you. This is where you can find her, Inkblot Yarn Co. on Etsy, and then you can also find her on Instagram. I will link that down below. And so I just wanted to read this little thing. Coral is a PhD student in psychology, and she got her shop inspiration from Rorschach inkblot tests, where everyone interprets the pictures a little differently. She hopes to create colorful yarn that each person can find their own inspiration in, which is amazing. Now, I just said that, you know, I will buy a skein of yarn if it is themed after something that I like. But maybe that name would turn somebody else off of a skein of yarn, even though they may love the colors. So that is a super interesting take on yarn. So this is her skein here, And you kind of do get sort of the Inkblot vibes from it, I think. We've got the greens and the purples that have faded into pink. And then we've got the gray. Oh, let's stop focusing on my face and focus on the yarn. There we go. So let's open this up and take a peek at this skein. So this is going to be super fun to see this cranked up and see what it turns into. Just gorgeous. Again, that is Coral from Inkblot Yarn Co. on Etsy. And of course, you know, I will have everything linked for everyone down below. Just simply beautiful. Have pictures in there. Thank you, Coral, for joining in on the fun of this experiment. I hope it was fun for you all as well, as much fun as it is for me. Okay, next up we have Missy Bruno from Gypsy Yarns, and she is out of Ohio. Here is her card there. And you can find her on Etsy and Instagram, as well as I think she might have her, maybe her website is just Instagram. If she has her own website, I will have that link down below. And I have some of Missy's yarn actually in my shop as well. So this is her skein. She has done hers on a sparkle base, which is awesome. I love a good sparkle. We've got an overall softer gray feel to this, with little bits of green and some purple peppered in there. Let's open this up and take a peek at as a whole. So we've got some lovely bare space, which is going to be awesome. Really happy to see that a lot of people utilized the negative space of the yarn to help play with their color. Just wonderful. Again, that is Missy from Gypsy Yarns, and check her out on Instagram and her Etsy shop. Thank you. Just pretty. All right. And we're moving along. Next up, we have a friend of mine from Michigan, and her name is Shaylee from Hens and Chicks Fiber Arts. You can find her on her website. She has a YouTube channel as well, and Instagram, and she is just a Jill of all trades. I will tell you, she has some beautiful hand woven items. She does spinning and weaving, and she knits and she crochets and she does felting. She does everything. She's also a fellow sock cranker. So thank you, Shaylee, for being part of my experiment. This is her lovely skein. I love how dark she went with the green. And you've got all the shades of green in there. You got some lighter shades and then some more poppier bright spots, and then some deep, deep dark. And then she's done this on a zebra base, so you can see that stripe of black in there. So that was a zebra base of fingering weight yarn. So let's open this up and take a peek. Oh, lovely. That's going to be beautiful. So we have this long section of dark green, and then another section. So the dark green kind of rolls around till almost, I'd say, it's probably 2/3. Yeah, 2/3, and then a third of the purple with some of the lighter green and bare space there. So that is going to play very fun on the sock machine. And again, all of these are going to get cranked up into a hat and a sock tube so that you can peek. But that is going to be another episode because this episode is going to be long, just showing you all of these makers. So you guys will have to check back to see how all of these worked out. All right. So we have Shaylee from Hens and Chicks Fiber Arts. Thank you so much. All right, next up, we have a dyer from Maryland, and her name is Dorothy, and she is from Knit, Knot, and Weave. And she calls this color Peking Crocuses. And she has her own website, and she is also on YouTube. And her website is Knit, Knot, and Weave, Etsy.com. This is her lovely skein. This is just simply just delicate. This is closer to what I had in mind, probably, than what mine actually turned into. And I don't know if you guys can just see the soft, soft green. I'm going to have to definitely have pictures in there for you guys to see that. I think you can sort of see the soft green right in there. The lovely light speckles overall on this light gray base. Just beautiful. This is what I'm talking about, how everybody can use the same colors and all of these skeins can just be so vastly different. So let's pop this open and take a peek. This is just going to be a lovely sock. Now this is going to be in a sock tube and a sock and a hat. But this particular skein would be gorgeous with a patterned sock. Now you've got this overall soft color, a little bit of light speckle. That would really show off in a patterned sock. Oh, look at that lovely green section right there. So again, that is Dorothy from Knit, Knot, and Weave. Thank you so much. We have a very good friend of mine from Florida, and that is Theresa from Pretty Twisted Yarns, and she has called her color Why So Serious. This is just beautiful. And I can tell by looking at this skein, and plus because I already know, that this is going to be a self-striping skein. And what tells me that is all of these individual strands, how they're kind of very repetitive. When you look at a skein, if you see something that looks like this, that's probably going to do some sort of striping for you. So the way that self-stripers are made, they have to be really big and long and then dyed in big, huge sections and then turned back into a small hank. So you have these repeats where you can kind of already see the self-striping on the hank itself. So this is going to be beautiful to see that knit up in its self-striping. This yarn is so squishy soft. And beautiful. Again, you know, there will be pictures in here, and I can't wait to see how this works up. That is Theresa from Pretty Twisted Yarns, and she has her own website. She is on YouTube. She is also going to be writing patterns, I do believe, in the near future. So go check her out. All right, next up we have all the way from the UK, we have Terry from Saltwater Indie. And she has her own Etsy shop. This is her logo here. You can also find her on Instagram. This color is called Cackle. And it is beautiful. Let's go ahead and take this label off so we can see the skein in all its glory. This is an overall purple one, which not many of them were overall purple. Just beautiful touches of gray, little bits of green. Oh, very, very, very beautiful. Cackle. We've got, here's how the skein looks overall. That's just stunning. I follow along with the colors that she dyes on her shop, and they're so beautiful. But you know, sometimes because it's overseas, that's what stops me from from getting it. Just beautiful. Again, that is Terry from Saltwater Indie. Thank you so much for joining in. Coming years. Next up, we have Stephanie from Blackbird Sycamore. I just love Stephanie's colorways. She's just got a way with color. You can find her on YouTube and her website, and she is out of Wyoming. And this is her logo here, Blackbird Sycamore. And she always has a ton of little goodies in her packages, and her yarn bases are just wonderful. Yes, you can find her on Etsy and Instagram. And let's take this off and take a peek at that. This is really kind of what was in my head. Just a really soft, floral looking skein. I did not achieve that because I am not a dyer, but Stephanie clearly is. But I still had fun just adding my color, and I'm sure Stephanie has fun also adding her color. Look at that light pops of green throughout. Just the softest touch of gray and purple. Simply stunning. I have several skeins of Stephanie's in my stash. They're just so pretty. I don't want to do just a vanilla sock with them. They need to be something nice. So for now, I just look at them in my stash. Just beautiful. Just that's like a kiss of a speckle in there. Just gently. So next up we have Amy from Treat 3 Tulips Yarn Co. And she is from Pennsylvania. And I will pop in a little bit better. I have her logo. I will pop that in up here. She is, you can find her on her website, and she does yarn dyeing for fun, but she's got some gorgeous colors. I just think that this is really cute because she is 3 tulips. She's got this, it says bloomed on, and it shows the date that it was bloomed. So that's just really cute. And she did a zebra base as well. And this one is hers. We've got some soft purple up there and some lovely green shades. You can tell there's a bit of gray. Just pretty. And using that base with that black zebra is going to do some fun things when that cranks up as well on the zebra base there. So we have got gorgeous, gorgeous colors. again, that is Amy from 3 Tulips Yarn Co. And I thank you for joining in on my experiment. This has been so much fun. I am so excited and happy that you all have joined in on my sort of crazy idea. It's not crazy, I just want to show how everybody's input matters. Just add color. Don't be intimidated because somebody else has already used those colors or the name that you were thinking of, because your interpretation of something is going to be completely different than somebody else's, and somebody is going to love that yarn, whether it's you or somebody else. So please don't be afraid to just add color. Just add it. You'll be happy. Somebody will be happy. So as a thank you for all of the people who joined in on my experiment, I put together a couple little goodies that will be going home when I return their hats and sock tubes to them. So I just wanted to show you guys that. I got you all a little canvas tote bag with a logo that I designed. And so this year's logo has the 3 colors that we used, a green, a purple, and a gray. And then of course my Knotty Knittress logo on the bottom. And a couple little goodies inside I will show you guys. So we've got a pin with the logo on it. And then there are a few different stickers. Some of them are like this. This is a clear sticker. And then some of them are holographic. And it will be up to random choice which one you end up with. And then also a cool little progress keeper. And this is a lever back progress keeper, as well as a thank you card. And there will also be a coupon code on the thank you card for all of you. So thank you so much for participating in my Just Add Color experiment, the dyers that did. And I look forward to showing you all what all of this looks like worked up. So please check back. I don't know how long it's going to take me to work up all of these skeins of yarn. Shouldn't be too long. I'm hoping to keep it within the 2-week span of time frame because I've got a lot of things on my plate lately. If you feel the need to donate to my channel, that would be wonderful. There is a Ko-Fi account linked below. That would just basically go to prizes and such for giveaways and experiments and things like this. So you can again find me all over the internet as Andi the Knittress or the Knotty Knittress, and my website theknottyknitress.com. And thank you all for joining. Take life one stitch at a time and just add color.